We know that Francis Ngannou got knocked out by Anthony Joshua. He got dropped 2 times, ultimately got finished off by Anthony Joshua. And there's no shame in that. You know, a lot of guys come to boxing from the UFC. They come from MMA. They don't necessarily fight the best fighter in the world. And, you know, they start slow. That would be the most intelligent way of going about it, the most strategic way of going about it. But what Francis did was daring to be great. You know, he went in there, he went into the sport of boxing going straight for the best to do it. You know, the best heavyweight in the world right now, Tyson Fury, went straight for that man, said, I want him, let's make the fight happen. He did that on his first fight, on his first boxing fight ever, fought the best to do it. You know, the best fighter that he could possibly fight in the heavyweight division. And he did it. And you know, arguably won the fight. So, you know, a lot of people like to talk about Francis Ngannou saying, you know, retire after that. But you guys have to remember, he's coming from the UFC. He left the UFC for a reason. He wasn't happy with the pay he was getting. And as a champion, you should be satisfied. As, you know, an individual who has a boss in Dana White, he felt like Dana White wasn't looking out for his well-being, his, you know, best interest. And I think that a guy like Francis, a guy like who has his talent and who can fight the way he you know has had success, like, I think he deserves that, and he's not getting it through the UFC, so he came into boxing. And I think that he's making, and I know that he's making a lot more money in the world of boxing, so why not stick to it? And I think that he shouldn't retire from boxing just because he got knocked out, because I've told you guys, I still have faith, because I think he's a good boxer in general. I just don't think when it comes to guys like Deontay, comes to guys like Anthony Joshua, like we saw, you know, he's not going to mess with those guys. But I even would say that, you know, Deontay Wilder has to train properly and efficiently for Francis like any other fight. They can't sleep on him at all. The way, you know, Tyson Fury did. You know, Anthony Joshua took it seriously. He said, I'm not going to do what Tyson Fury did and, you know, slack off, because, you know, if that ultimately happens, I'm going to be in trouble. And I think Francis Ngannou, he looks good. You know, he looks good when he's standing in there in the pocket. He looks good. It's just, you know, you can't stay there. You can't stay in front. I think the biggest thing was, you know, he got dropped. He faced adversity for the first time in his career where this has never happened to him and he doesn't know what to do. You can kind of see him, you know, he's confused, he's bewildered, he can't believe, he can't fathom the fact that he just got dropped in a boxing match where there's supposed to be heavier gloves, but, you know, you're facing guys that do this for a living. They throw these hands for a living. They know what they're doing. So when I saw him get dropped for the first time, I saw him get dropped for the second time, and the biggest mistake that Francis Ngannou made was, once he got dropped, what did he do? When he stood up, as a fighter does, like any fighter does, when you get knocked on your butt, you stand up. After that, he stood right there. You don't stand right in front of him. You clinch him, you hug him, you go into survival mode. That's what you do in the sport of boxing. You have to be aware of, you know, the worst case scenario. John Jones, take John Jones for example. He always talks about how if he ever faced Francis, the reason why he'd win is because he's comfortable with the worst scenario that could possibly take place, the fact that Francis could knock him out. And once you're comfortable and you accept that, you know, that's the fighter you have to deal with. Someone who's accepted their worst possible outcome is a very dangerous fighter. And that's what you have to do in the sport of boxing as well. That the same mentality that John Jones is referring to, Francis kind of had to have, but he didn't have it in that fight because it was a new situation for him. I'm not saying Francis Ngannou, you know, should have won that fight. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the way that, you know, he reacted, it was new for him. You could obviously tell. Look at when he gets dropped. He's like, you know, what just happened? It takes him so long to get up because he's genuinely, he's not being strategic. He's not saying, all right, let me take my time. He's not saying that. He's like looking around like, what just hit me? You know, that was a real boxing heavyweight that just hit you. And he put him on his ass, and it was an entertaining fight for the most part. A lot of people are going to say, what should he do next? And I think the elephant in the room is for Francis to fight Deontay Wilder, because that's a money fight, no doubt about it. You know, it's the elephant in the room because you fought, you know, 3 of the 4 big names. You can include Usyk in there. You fought Fury. You fought AJ. There's only Deontay Wilder. Realistically, that's a huge fight. You know, Usyk probably picked Francis apart. You know, it might be an interesting fight, to be honest, because I'm not sure Usyk has that ability to sleep Francis the same way that AJ did, but, you know, it's comparable because you have to remember, you know, Fury's moving up from cruiserweight. He's a heavyweight champ, don't get me wrong. It's just, levels and the power difference, I think, does play a role in these kinds of matchups. But, I mean, I wouldn't mind. No, that's an understatement. I would love to see Deontay Wilder versus Francis Ngannou. But the thing is, I'm not sure it's a great decision for his health. I think, there comes a point where it's not even about the money anymore. I think Francis he's set. It's just, the extra millions look good. But at the same time, you took a lot of punishment in those 2 rounds against Anthony Joshua. Is that something you're willing to do against Deontay Wilder? And don't get me wrong, I think AJ's a better boxer than Deontay is, but Deontay might have a little bit more of a devastating shot. I think he hits the hardest in the combat sports world. And I don't know if AJ hits as hard as Deontay does. So if Deontay lands on Francis, I don't know what's going to happen. He may never get up. Like that's a reality. That was a reality check. I think Deontay does hit harder than AJ. So, but you're not facing the same fighter, because you could argue that AJ kind of times it better than Deontay does. Deontay, like, you could see it coming a mile away, but if you get hit by it, like, you're going to sleep. So that's where it gets a little bit complex. The elements of surprise and actual IQ kind of play a role. So I think AJ, he's just one of those guys that can find it. If you give him that little path, if you give him a room to be great, that little inch, he's going to take that mile. And he landed that right hand clean every time. No setup, straight A to B, landed it, put his lights out. And I think Francis, didn't see it coming. I think he got that false sense of confidence that I'm always talking about. And he had that against Tyson Fury, because he had success against Tyson Fury. He arguably won that fight. And then you go into a guy who actually can really crack for a heavyweight, and AJ, it's a different ball game. Stylistically, you get tagged with that shot, it's the first person to really land. I think if Francis lands one haymaker on AJ before AJ lands his, that's a different kind of fight. But we don't live in the what if, what happened, and AJ stopped Francis. And Francis shouldn't be ashamed of that. You went into uncharted territory against the best to do it in that weight class. One of the best to do it. You could argue Tyson Fury, Usyk, and Wilder, but I think Wilder's still a big money fight. I do like the fact that Francis is going to get paid more. I know he got knocked out, but he could have gotten knocked out by anybody in the UFC, but he made a lot of money. The difference is the pay between boxers and UFC fighters is so substantial, and there's such a great disparity, a great difference between what boxers get paid and how little UFC fighters get paid. Even as champions, there's a big difference. You consider what Ryan Garcia makes, not even as a champion. You consider it's the best fighter in the UFC, who you could argue whoever you want. You could say Adesanya, whoever you want. We're the most, not even the most talented, the best champion right now. You could say Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley doesn't get paid as much as Ryan Garcia. That's the ultimate reality of the UFC, and that's why Francis kind of has to take these risks in the boxing world, because he's getting paid more and he's getting paid what he deserves. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think Francis should retire from the sport of boxing? I say no. I think he should keep going. That Deontay Wilder fight's a big fight, but it's a dangerous one. But he'll definitely make a bag. He'll make a lot of money, but is it worth the squeeze? So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. That's going to do it for another NASFight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.